Hey there, today we're going to talk a little about soloing over chords. I'm going to look at a song off of the Mr. Vague Corn Dog CD / collection of songs. A song called A Constant Buzz in Mind. And it's really just a 4 chord song. A B to an A during the verses, and the chorus is an E to a D to a G to an F sharp. So it's 4 chords. The solos, there are 2 of them in the song, take place over the verse chords, which are the B to the A. Now the first solo was just a kind of sporadic, loose type solo. It wasn't planned at all. Either was the second solo, really. But they are working from B to an A. These open kind of sus chords here. That and I was adding a 6th on too during those solos, during the recording of the song, to give it that kind of feel. Adding some other notes onto the chords to give it, and these open chords give it that nice openness, of course.
You think you could be a little more Pacific? Maybe specific?
The solo sounds like this.
Very likable.
Now, when I recorded that solo, I knew we were going, you're going from a B chord to an A chord, and I'm more or less familiar with the, a B major scale and the A major scale. They're right next to each other, and the notes that I can play in this area. I use this area quite often for, and you can see even the way that I play the solo, I did using open strings, which, you don't really have to do. I'll go through the solo part by part, and you can see that, it can be played in like that B major scale position over here. Why I played those particular notes over those chords at that particular time, I didn't really plan the solo out too much. I just knew where to play, and that's an important thing when you are soloing. If you're playing a G minor blues, you know that you've got your G pentatonic scale right here, and wherever else it might be. So you've got that area in your head.
I don't know what all was in his Kool-Aid this morning, but cheese and crackers.
So there's 2 chords, and I know the major scale for both of those chords. And that's part of soloing over chords is knowing, of course, the fretboard and the chords involved, and what notes are sure hits. If you are playing a solo, you're in A, you're going to know that an A note is obviously going to work in that solo. But will it be flat work? And the other important thing about soloing over chords, of course, is use these guys, your ears. I think I ran through the solo, that was 5 years ago, 6 years ago I recorded that song. I think I ran through the solo 4 or 5 times just to get an idea of what I wanted it to sound like. But as it was recording, it it flowed basically, because I knew this area and what notes I wanted to hit. Probably the 3 or 4 takes before the keeper were probably bad takes. I probably hit bad notes and played something that just didn't sound right. Or, of course, you can always do it better. That's the fun thing about recording. But if you're playing in a live situation, know the fretboard and what notes you're going to hit, your scales, your chords, and also keep in mind what's going to sound. If you play enough in a position, you kind of know that you're going to get that sound out of these 2 notes. So you've got those notes and sounds in your head, and you can transform that into your fingers, and that becomes your solo. One, we have play the notes of the chords and the scales in the position that you're familiar with, to get keeper notes in your solo. Secondly, use your ear. Third, think about phrasing. So, and the timing of notes and where they get inserted in the space of the song. It's hard to explain, but it's more of a feeling. If you've got a B to an A, think of your voice. Think of your voice and how that solo would want to go. How would you sing it out? And that's a lot what I do a lot of times. If I have notes. That was very slopish, if you call it that. I didn't bounce around in those notes too much. I didn't go bum bum ba-dum bum bum ba-da-dum bum. I kept it kind of scalar, if you want to call it that. So, and that's kind of how the solo turned out. I wasn't I often don't think too expansively.
Psst. He flunked math class, Oh man, he flunked it.
Also, with phrasing in a solo, it kind of you have to know where you're headed as far as the chords go. So if you notice, even in this little and some of these things in the solo, I'm not. I didn't think of these things, but now that I'm checking the solo out and I analyzed it a little, there's a few lead-ins to headed back to the next chord that I'll go over, and there's some caps, if you call them that, like those type of things at the end of the section of like the A chord headed to the B. So those things enhance a solo also. Let's go over it piece by piece.
Peach fuzz.
Now this solo is over 8 measures, and I think on the 9th measure it rolls up to an E chord to begin the chorus. The first measure, we're out of a B chord, so the solo starts really out of a B type bar chord. The first notes are the low F sharp and a B, so we're tacking that F sharp onto this B chord, bum, bum. And then these notes repeat in the higher register. So we're just doing a repeat of an F sharp to a B, bum, 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 bum. And then we roll up to the B and the D sharp, which is on your G and your B string. Let's see if I can get this a little tighter here so we can see a little better. those two notes and this in a B scale, I think that's the 6th. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 is a G sharp. So really what you're playing, well, what I was playing in that solo is right at just a straight B scale. If I was to play it in this B scale position for a major scale, so that's right out of a B major scale. Bum, 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 bum. And yet it covers a lot of the chords, so there is a lot of expansive space in that first chunk of solo. It does cover that big space of all 6 strings. It doesn't do. It's bum 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 bum. So it covers a lot of area, and it is right out of B major scale. That's the first measure, and so we've got and the next note takes us right to our second chord, second measure, our A. So it leads right in. If you, it leads into that A perfectly. So we're really just rolling over a B chord. And that, in fact, is fairly simple. Now, I didn't play it when I played it earlier in the video. I play it down here. Whoops. It's just the way it turned out when I did play it. That's the position that I used. I'm familiar with some of these, with the notes here. I didn't use the scalar position up here for the B major. Plus you get to roll off notes. You get to, do some pull-offs also, which are used in the solo. So now we're in the second measure. We're at the A. Bam, ba, da, dum, da, 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 ba. That's it for the A. So we're going from A to an F sharp, back to the A, up to this. Now, by itself, it sounds kind of strange. And I did a little pull off there. Bounce into the F sharp. So, when you play this G sharp by itself, it sounds a little dissonant. But if you look at the A scale, there it is. Okay, it is, the 7th note of that scale. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Just sounds a little weird by itself. Ba, 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 ba. Anyway, it's the 7th of the scale in A, and it fits when it's hit quickly. So that stayed in. And again, it's right out of the A scale. So now for our third measure, we're back to the B chord, and there we throw this it's kind of waterfalling down, and this starts with an A. So even though we're in B, we're starting with an A. And there's the higher B. So, and if you look at this, that is a B Mixolydian scale. So we've gone kind of squidgied out of our major scale here, and it sounds, that portion of the third measure sounds like this. Okay, and then the next note would be down to our A, because we're moving to that A chord. So, and I didn't play it up here in this B scale position again. I played it in the recording. It's down here. You can see how you get these pull-offs and slides with using the single string. It's just the way it turned out. It could have been played here. Whoops. Now for this A fourth measure, so we've gone, and we're kind of landing on this A. You can, and the only portion the only notes here played on this A in the fourth measure are, so it's a little tag that's placed on this A. So if you put those two together, the third and fourth measure, and now we're headed right back to our fifth measure for another B chord. Now we're at our fifth measure, which is on B, and we had this little lead in off of A. Just a little tag that pushes us back to our B chord. Now we're going to, this is kind of I call it the Three Stooges lick. It sounds like the theme song from if any of you used to watch the Three Stooges, great theme song. That type of stepping up in the scale. Anyway, we're at the B, and we do this. Let me catch up here. Do 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 do. Boo do 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 do. So that's our notes in this fifth measure B chord. Right up a scale. And there's a slide there. And this I did play in this position. I didn't play it down here. So we're sliding up to this F sharp and adding our ring finger here on the B note on the E string and grabbing the first finger A. Okay? And this is over our A chord. So you can see we're traveling B. Now we're back into our A chord. So it works real nice. Again, it's right out of in this B scale position, and we start off in a B major, and then kind of add some A scalar notes in because we're over the A chord. And we're also playing basically the top end of a D chord here. Almost. So again, if I put that together, and it fits so nicely over the chords. And again, this isn't a complex chord progression. We're talking B to A. Okay? Again, remember your scales and chord positions over what you're playing. if you're soloing. Remember, if you're playing a B, well, where's my B scales? Where's my B chords? You can solo on those notes over those chords. You move it to an A, you got your A scale. So now we've been through, we're up to our 6th measure. We've covered okay, I think that's 6 measures. And now we're headed, that was off of our last 6th measure A. Now we've got a B chord coming up again. Now for the 7th measure, B chord to an A chord for the 8th measure, we've slid up to the A chord here and the B chord here. D position. And the way that was done was like this. Okay, right to them. Whoops. So all we're doing is a D chord up here in the 11th position. It's a D chord form, I should say. It's a B chord to an A chord. And we're putting a little suspension on, which is in a lot of Mark Knopfler Sultans of Swing type. So we carry it up. So we're really just going through a B suspension chord. And rolling back up. We roll back up to this note right here because we're going to the chorus, which is an E. And we hit this B, which again is back to a B, but we're playing the B over the E chord of the chorus. We lead right into it. So that section is all we're doing is arpeggiating, doing an arpeggio through the chord. Arpeggiating.
You think you could be a little more Pacific? Maybe specific?
Now that sounds really nice to me. It sounds, it fits, and it's so simple. It's just a B chord to an A chord at a D form. So again, if you've got, in this situation, a B chord to an A chord, grab the chords and all of your notes are right there. Just this illustrates that perfectly. Now another way to look at this, and I don't want to get all spiderwebbed up in the theory of the scales, but we kind of buzz around, with this flatted 7th here in the Mixolydian scale of B. And also, we're moving to the A, but and sometimes we're still in that B Mixolydian scale.
Now, did somebody say something about mixing something? I was thinking about mixing myself up a salad.
I think for a couple of the measures, but we're kind of moving to the A too, and I looked and it's almost like would be a Lydian type of A scale.
Mixolydian this and mixing that, and Lydia, whoever she is. I don't even think about any of that. I just play.
So you're kind of crossing over, just using a couple of different notes in the scale. Whereas here, we've got that D sharp in the A, and in the B, we've got this A. So there's a couple of notes that aren't in the A and the B major scale, so you could say we're flirting in a couple of different modes there. But the important thing is to know, and use your ear again, know that these notes sound good in the situation that you're playing them in.
Hello, I'm Dr. Shank. Mr. Vague asked me to explain a little about the Lydian and Mixolydian scales. I've just started studying some of these modes and theories in music. I've done most of my studies have mostly involved other technical areas such as electronics and electricity and electronics, and I like phase shifters too. Anyway, here's what I can tell you. Now, I wrote it up on my whiteboard. I hope you can see this okay. Now, on top we have an A Lydian scale, okay? A, B, C sharp, D sharp, E, F sharp, C sharp, and A. Now, if you notice, a regular A scale, between the 3 and the 4 and the 7 and 8, any major scale usually has a half step between the 3 and the 4 and the 7th and the 8th note of the scales. So, if you look at this A Lydian scale, it happens to have a C sharp to a D sharp for the 3 and the 4 notes of the scale. Oh. Now, that's a whole step. C sharp to D sharp is a whole step. So this is a little different than a major scale, okay? And that's, I think, where Mr. Vague was saying when he was over the A chord, he was hitting like a couple of these notes out of this scale. Well, mainly probably that D sharp, because that's the guy that's different, right? And the next line down here is a B scale. The B Mixolydian. Can you still see me over there? Oh yeah, there you are. Anyway, this, I can't seem to get everything in on the screen, but the B, C sharp, D sharp, E, F sharp, G sharp, A. Oh baby, normally this would be what? An A sharp, right? To a B, but we've got an A here. That's a flatted 7th, okay? That's a flatted 7th if I ever did see one. Now that makes these two different modes make the scale sound a little different, you know? Some people put adjectives on them, and others, you know, say it puts them in a different mood. Anyway, this is basically what I wanted to show you. There's just a couple of differences in this. Oh, this works. A couple of differences in the scales. Now, hey, check this out. If you go, you have A here and B here. If you slide a B, if I was to draw a dotted line, let's see if I can do this and hold the whiteboard at the same time. Check this out. A, C sharp, D sharp, E, A, they line up. So they're just kind of like scooted, and they're two different modes, mode scales. Okay? Anyway, like Mr. Vague was saying, the theory behind all this isn't the most important thing. It's mainly know the chords in your fretboard area, okay? Use your ears, okay? Use your ears. Learn about phrasing and how notes fit into space. And the fourth thing, of course, is have a good time. Have some fun while you're jamming, okay? Have some fun. Now this, I had some fun with this because I think this is kind of interesting. I might check it out some more and offer some more theories of relativity in the future. Or this is a theory, no, this isn't relativity. Well, I better get moving. I need a cup of tea. I'll talk to you all later. Make sure you subscribe to the Mr. Veg YouTube channel. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Let's take a quick look at what the solo looks like over the chords. Hey there. Today we are going to talk a little about. Hey there. Hey there. Today we're going to talk a little about